In this episode, I'm going to be breaking down why founders hit an invisible revenue ceiling and they cannot understand why. You're doing all of the inputs, all of the DM outreach, you're even booking sales calls, but you're not closing them. You're doing all of the content strategy and you're following everything to a T and nothing is working. And it's leaving you feeling exhausted, frustrated, and deflated. Have you ever thought about the fact that it has absolutely nothing got to do with your work ethic or the inputs that you're putting into your business, but it's actually got to do with your identity, the subconscious patterns that are running in the back of your head, and limiting beliefs that have been running the show without you realizing up until this point? If you keep doing all of the inputs and all of the right things from a place of stress, overwhelm, anxiety, push, and force, you are still going to get that back. As long as you keep operating from those lower levels of consciousness of pushing, forcing, hustle harder, fear, shame, stress, subconsciously, they're the things that are running in the background. And as long as you keep pushing from those places, that is all that you will receive in return. Hence why you cannot push past this ceiling. Your internal world is mirroring your external results. Life is cause and effect. So you holding on to the revenue ceiling that it is that you want to break is not outside of you. Your internal world is a direct reflection of your external reality. So as long as you keep pushing from shame, fear, guilt that you're not even sure of, that you're holding onto, or pain, and the more angry you get, the more frustrated you get at the fact that nothing is changing, the more you push and force, you're literally feeding that frequency, and that's what you're getting more of. The revenue plateau or ceiling that you are experiencing is a symptom of your internal world. The revenue plateau or ceiling that you cannot push past is not the issue. Your frequency or your identity is made up of your beliefs, emotional patterns, emotional convictions, thoughts, actions, behaviors, habits. And as long as you keep resonating with that frequency, that is all you're going to get back. And you're resonating with it by pushing through force. You're allowing that old identity to run the show. And that is being fed consistently when you keep pushing harder, and you're left feeling deflated, exhausted, stressed, but you're like, this is what I need to do. And because you're doing that, you're just feeding it and it's just getting louder and louder and louder, and your revenue is going down. You internally feel absolutely exhausted, mentally, physically, and emotionally. You also feel super unfulfilled. You can't be present in anything, and you're wondering, what the hell am I going to do? Don't worry, we'll get to it as to what you need to do. But you must understand that your old identity is running the show. Your limiting beliefs, subconscious patterns that you're not even aware of. Until you make those subconscious patterns conscious, you will never break what it is that you want to break in revenue. Because if you have beliefs or conditioning around how hard it is to get there, or how much of a struggle it is to get to whatever revenue goal it is that you want to get to, or depending on what you grew up in. For me, I grew up in a household in lack, and so I had to let go of so many subconscious patterns that I was holding onto around money, that money was really hard to make, that it was a struggle, that it was always in lack, and we never had it. And so I felt more comfortable not having it, therefore always spending it the minute it came in, and never being able to hold it, because my identity was associated with my old self through conditioning and through subconscious patterns, without me realizing, due to the environment that I grew up in. So I did not realize why I was making so much money and hitting record months and then defaulting back to my old self. And it was because I felt more comfortable there. It was also because I didn't have the identity that could hold higher months of revenue. I hadn't upgraded those beliefs, those emotional patterns, emotional convictions, thoughts, actions, behaviors, habits. I hadn't upgraded those. So I was pushing, hitting record months, and then defaulting back and feeling absolutely exhausted, burned out, and being like, if every time I want to hit a record month, if this is how it's going to feel, how am I going to be a millionaire? How am I actually going to get there? I don't know. And to be honest, I didn't even want to get there because it felt so crap within. But it does not need to feel that way. A lot of founders will rob themselves of doing this identity work because their ego comes in. A lot of entrepreneurs and founders will rob themselves of doing this identity work and rewiring your subconscious brain because their ego comes in saying, this is woo-woo, this is bullshit, this doesn't work. If you believe that, that's going to be true. That's what your subconscious mind is accepting as true. The only truths that exist in our reality is what our subconscious mind accepts as true. And so you are robbing yourself of hitting your next revenue goal with ease, and for things to feel calmer and to feel more present and to not have to do a million outreach a day in order to make a lot of money or to make a lot of sales. You also don't even need strategy. It's never about the strategy. It's about what frequency or what identity is posting on Instagram. I'm going to give you a tangible example of this. I built a 6-figure business from my horse shed with no strategy. I was just showing up on Instagram doing live workouts. But the frequency and identity that I held in that time was of someone who was already making 6 figures, even though I was in my horse shed. And that's why I connected and landed. Once you know who it is that you are internally, by law, it has to show up in the external, as within, so without, as above, so below. Then what happens to you is you come up with all of these excuses. The algorithm is broken. The ads funnel is broken. My content isn't working. LinkedIn is down. You come up with all of these excuses to make yourself feel better about why things aren't working. This is why my sales aren't closing. This is a low time in business. These are all self-fulfilling prophecies that you are feeding your old identity because it's trying to keep you where you are. Your old identity will always try and keep you where you are. It will scream at you when you go to upgrade your identity or to rewire your subconscious beliefs, because our brains are wired for survival, not for success. And stepping into something new beliefs, new emotional patterns, new emotional conviction, thoughts, behaviors, habits, actions feels unsafe to your brain. And what happens here is our reticular activating nervous system will seek out all of the reasons as to why you shouldn't do the work, why you shouldn't do the identity work or the subconscious work, or to let go of your ego. It will literally scan out for confirmation bias as to why you shouldn't move forward. This is woo-woo, this doesn't work. I don't know why I should have to do that when it worked before and it's not working now. And then you just seek outside of yourself to blame. Every single time you blame something outside of yourself, you are letting yourself down and you're causing more suffering where suffering doesn't need to be. Remember, the only truths that exist in reality is what our subconscious mind accepts as true. So if you think that sales is hard, making a lot of money is hard, breaking new revenue ceilings is hard, posting on Instagram is hard, showing up online is hard, doing outreach is hard, closing sales is hard, whatever it is. If you genuinely believe that making a lot of money is hard, that's what your subconscious mind is accepting as true. That's what you're going to admit. But you can decide to change that belief. You can literally shatter that belief right now as we're here chatting. And you can say money is the easiest thing in the world to make. Life is a game, guys. Once you wake up and realize that it's just a game and it's actually the easiest thing ever to make, and it is so abundant and it is everywhere, you'll be like, what the hell? What do you mean? You're addicted to struggle and hardship and to lack and to push, because that's all you know. I know because I've been there. I worked 3 jobs. I worked 3 jobs while building a 6-figure business, also while finishing college. And all I ever saw growing up was struggle, hardship, and lack in my household. And now that I've changed it, I work far less. I'm far more productive and intentional with my time and how I work. As a result, I have so much more capacity for my clients and I can give back in a much more valuable way. And I'm breaking revenue ceilings that I could never have imagined by doing less, all because I updated my identity and frequency. And that work is disgusting because you have to go internal and you must let go of all of the guilt, the shame, the fear. Where is that coming from? The suffering. And usually it roots a lot deeper than surface level. But once you let go of all of that pain and shame and anger and guilt and frustration, there is a cost that comes with this work, as with everything. And the cost is when you decide to let go of your old identity, when you decide to let go of push, struggle, force, and you decide that you actually want higher levels of revenue. You want to be making X amount per month by doing less. And you want to be more intentional with your time. You want to be more present with your family. You want to be calmer as a leader in your business. You want to be a calmer founder. You want to make money with ease. You want to feel secure within. You want leads coming to you, you not chasing them. That is all possible. Literally everything and anything is possible, because the only meaning that we give to life is the meaning we attach to it, is what our subconscious mind believes to be true. And when you rewire your subconscious mind, you literally get to decide the money it is that you want to make. And the reason why you get tested hard for this is because it's asking you, are you the person capable of holding this? A sample of this is, once I decided that I wanted to be the 100K month founder, making 100K per month, my Instagram was taken away from me straight away, which was literally where my main business lies and my main leads come in. And it was wiped away instantly. And I've just literally trained my brain so much into doing that. And I was just like, okay, very solution focused person. I'll just start a new Instagram and build it from there. Easy. And then I was like, oh, I nearly missed the test. I had been showing up on Instagram for 6 years straight, posting once a day at least, but like anywhere between 1 to 7 times a day. And the test was, do you trust me in taking this away from you? And how are you going to respond? And I was like, how would the 100K founder respond as me? Not looking at how other 100K founders would respond. How would I respond? And I was thinking about it and I was like, what is the lesson here? Because it was very painful when it happened. But what is the lesson? I don't want to miss the lesson. And the lesson was, you have to stop proving, because I pushed and built those 2 businesses from the lower levels of consciousness that I was on about, that you're probably acting in right now. Pushing, force, anxiety, stress, overwhelm, hustle. And I was wearing it like a badge of honor. And I built 2 6-figure businesses from that on social media by showing up every single day. But what I realized was, oh, I have to let go of the pain and of the proving and of the pushing, because I'm rising higher. I have a choice here. I can choose to go into my old identity, start another Instagram, build it again through force, push, boom. Or I can choose to go into higher levels of consciousness, and I can choose to go within, because I know I hold all of the power within. Once you realize that nothing can shake you outside of you, that's when you know you are the person capable of holding the wealth it is that you want to hold, or the life that it is that you really want to hold. Because as long as you seek security in things outside of you, in your Instagram, in your business, in sales, in money, in validation, in approval, in opinions, whatever it is, you will always feel internally dysregulated. You will always feel chaotic. You will always be swinging up and swinging down. You will always be all over the place. You will never be fully present in life. You'll never feel fully fulfilled. You won't feel calm in your business. You won't operate as the leader that it is that you want to operate as. And you don't even realize this. You're going through all of your days on autopilot. And you're so solution focused because you're like, well, logically, this is the way it works. Spirituality defies rationality. It defies all logic. The laws of the universe defy all logic. And I am living proof of that, because I come from a very low income household in the middle of nowhere in a tiny village in Ireland, and I built a 6-figure business from my horse shed. That does not come from logic or strategy. I pitched live to Stephen Bartlett on stage by flying to Bali to follow him there. There was multi-millionaires in the audience who have been trying to get his attention for years, who had a far larger marketing budget than me. Why was I the person that was standing up there next to him on stage pitching live to him? It was because I built my identity. I built my self-concept. My frequency was held at the person who's capable of doing and holding that. So your next revenue breakthrough is not coming from doing more inputs. It comes from facing yourself head on. What do I mean by that? You must face your shadows. You must face the old part of yourself, your old limiting beliefs, thoughts, behaviors, actions, feelings, conditioning, the environment that you grew up in, the emotional conviction that you have and hold that is not serving you any longer. And how you recognize this, guys, is when you go to do something new, like meditation is the only way where you can really gain control over your internal world. God speaks the loudest when your mind is the quietest. And the only way you can get good at meditating is by literally practicing it and getting the reps in. It's like the gym, progressive overload in the gym. It's very uncomfortable at the beginning and your brain is going to be going 1,000,000 miles an hour. That is very normal. What I want you to do is just take 5 minutes of every day, lie down on the ground, lie down in bed, sit on a chair for 5 minutes every day and just close your eyes and observe. Your brain is going to go 1,000,000 miles an hour, but eventually there'll come a time where you'll get a split second of black, of nothing. And that is where you want to aim for. That is the quantum field, the infinite intelligence. That is where you align with your spiritual self, your spiritual and your mental. And then that's when it comes into the physical, because the spiritual and mental are the highest planes of existence that we have, that we exist on. Physical is the lowest vibrational state. And so when you're constantly operating from the physical, the 3D world, doing the inputs from the physical 3D world, that's where you're going wrong, because you're focusing on strategy, story, state, instead of state, story, strategy. That's by Tony Robbins. I absolutely love that. You are focusing on all the logic side and it's not working. It's not working because the stories you keep telling yourself subconsciously are stopping you from getting you to where you want to be. They're self-sabotaging your success. And then the state that it's coming from is lower levels of consciousness. It's your old self. And that's why you keep getting what it is that you've always gotten despite doing all of the inputs. You must fix your state first, your state of being first, then the stories that you're telling yourself. And then once you apply the strategy from your new identity, that's when everything will start to land. To be honest, you won't even need strategy, really, when you have your state sorted. Because if you already believe that you are the person capable of doing the thing, that will defy logic every single time. How do you get into that state? By doing the shadow work. I do this with all of my one-to-one founders. It's really heavy work, but when you go through that, that's when you get your unlocks. And usually it has nothing to actually do with business itself, but it actually has everything to do with it when you let go of it, because it allows you to upgrade into your new identity. If you are interested in potentially working with me, the application is in the description below. But once you do that shadow work and you face yourself and you let go of your ego and you let it die, it's extremely uncomfortable and painful. But that creates so much more space for you to step into your light and to step into all the goals and dreams that it is that you want within your business, and to step into your next revenue goal. And learning how to meditate is the highest leverage skill that it is that you can do, because you are able to observe the old identity and you can see it running, like all of the limiting beliefs, the negative self-talk, the emotional patterns that are running that are not serving you. And once you're capable of observing those, you can replace it with your new identity and step forward into your new identity. And it won't self-sabotage you anymore. And that does not need to be the case. Your next revenue ceiling that you push past is going to come from doing the identity work, the shadow work, and facing yourself and letting your ego die. letting that thing mean like, this is bullshit, this is horseshit, this doesn't work. Okay, keep doing what you're doing. So keep pushing, forcing, hustling, wearing it like a badge of honor when that does not need to be the case. You see people making a lot of money per month and you're wondering how. Like, what the hell? They're buzzing, they've time freedom, they've location freedom, they're doing whatever the hell they want. They are chilling, they're meditating, they're journaling, and you're like, what the absolute hell? It's because they have rewired their identity and their frequency. So they're so magnetic that it just chases them. You can do the exact same thing if you just let your ego die.